morning. Welcome to Change, sponsored by the Senior Barn of Schaumburg, where nutritious meals, friendly peers, and social activities are available every day of the week, under the able direction and guidance of Marina Lovich. The cost and location are available to all. I am Fran Rogas. Our program today is about volunteering. I would like to introduce our panel. In this case, I would like them to introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Susan, and I volunteer by making quilts, by sewing mostly for folks who are in need, homeless, cancer. I live here in Hoffman Estates. I bring my mother, who's 93. She's deaf and she is moderate stage Alzheimer's, and we attend the barn as many times a week as we can.
Monica. Hi, I'm Monica, and I belong to several groups that I do volunteer work with, mostly sewing groups because I love to sew. I make quilts. I have lived in the Schaumburg area, it's been 8 years now. I grew up in rural Iowa and raised my family in rural Illinois, western Illinois, and then came here, so I love being in Schaumburg. It's absolutely wonderful. There's lots of opportunities to do things and volunteer.
Okay, hi, my name is Donna. I was born in the Chicago Northwest part of Chicago, moved to Schaumburg about 40 years ago, and one of the main reasons we moved here is for the school system. Our children were in small Catholic schools, and we decided let's branch out a little bit, and the Schaumburg schools, the 2 of 11, were rated very, very highly. 3 children, 3 grown children, one of whom lives in Schaumburg, and he and his entire family is very, very active in this community. I have, 4 grandchildren, of which I'm very proud. I volunteer at different places. Hopefully during this panel, I can discuss some of them with you.
Thank you so much. Today's segment is about volunteering, as we said, and we'll hope that you will join us and spend some time thinking about the significant role volunteers have played and are still playing in our country overall. But first, let's consider just how deeply volunteering is a part of who we are as a nation. A brief history of volunteering in this country has relied on volunteers from the start. Most people don't realize, but colonists banded together to survive the harsh New World, forming support groups to help each other plant crops, build homes, and fight disease. Benjamin Franklin developed the volunteer firehouse in 1736, a bit ago, an idea that has become the country's norm, as more than 70% of the firefighters today are volunteers. That's quite a bit. Volunteers also played an important role in the Civil War, as groups such as Ladies' Aid Societies were created to make bandages, shirts, towels, tents, bedclothes, uniforms. Inspired by religious revival, people became more aware of the disadvantaged, and the YMCA, American Red Cross, and the United Way were born in response. The 20th century was when mainstream volunteerism really began to flourish, shaping the volunteer and nonprofit organizations that we recognize today. The Rotary Club, Kiwanis, and the Lions Club were all established within the first few decades of the 1900s. Nationwide efforts to coordinate volunteers in response to the Great Depression and during World War II, including work by Volunteers of America, thousands of volunteers collected supplies, entertained troops on leave, and caring for the injured. As you can see, volunteering has long been a staple of American life. What motivates people to become volunteers?
I would hope that where there's a need and people who are able can give. We don't all have the same talents.
No, we don't.
And we don't all have financial ability to give. So where there is a need, if you are able, we should volunteer.
It's also a social thing. When I moved to this area, like I said, I was from rural America, and I didn't know anybody, didn't know the locality. I started getting involved with different groups to get to know people and to to branch out. We moved here in May, and my husband was in bad health, and he died the following January. And so I started joining different groups to find my way around here, because I had no idea. I mean, I was kind of like an orphan, you know. I didn't know people and didn't know places, and so I started getting active in groups to get to know people. And I think it's very important as seniors that we get out.
Absolutely, it's healthier.
Very,
Diana?
very important.
And along that same line, we have a lot to offer. We really do. Our young people may not agree with us, but we have a lot to offer from our life experiences. So we are sharing them as we are volunteering. But we also choose groups that might be important to us, like, you know, for your husband or someone in your family has cancer, you might go to a support group for cancer. I think that works well.
Okay. I found with myself that you become healthier. Mentally and physically. You thrive on being with other people. I have the joy of seeing what other people accomplish, and the creativity is unbelievable.
We are basically social animals. I
Yes.
mean, we're not meant to be alone.
No.
And we need each other, and even if the volunteering is just a socializing for the seniors, that's very, very important.
Oh yes. Donna?
It keeps you from isolation.
Absolutely.
If you've seen
It's
people
healthier all the
who
way
have
around.
something happen in their lives and they isolate themselves, then there's a problem. So it's
Susan
very
mentioned
important.
earlier that when you're busy doing this, you're paying it forward. Now, we've all had kindnesses done for us in our lifetime. All have their private stories. But what's beautiful about it is when we were helped, that we chose to help others as well. We'll be back shortly. Hello again. Within the past few years, you could say volunteering has essentially become a national pastime. In 2011, volunteering reached its highest level since 2006. As an American volunteer, nearly 8 billion, I said 8 billion hours of their time is located in a national cause of some sort. Today, nearly 1 in 4 Americans, an estimated 64.3 million people, have served as volunteers. That's a lot of people. The internet, excuse me, the internet has played a huge role in engaging volunteers, allowing people to find opportunities in their own communities and outsources. What makes people choose the organizations that you have chosen to volunteer at? What makes you do that?
Well, we were chatting before, and you said something about our passions, and for me, it's sewing, and I sew all day, every day, and so I make things for different groups, for children in the hospitals, for cancer groups, Quilts of Valor, Project Linus, and Operation Peaceful Comfort, which sends things to the military hospitals overseas. Good. And Quilts of Valor is quite popular, but yes. Operation Quiet Comfort is not quite as popular. But I'm constantly sewing, and I make a lot of quilts. I can't use all those quilts, so I love my charities because they find homes for my quilts.
Oh yeah, I've joked to people that I do things between 2 and 3 in the morning if I don't have any other time. We're all very busy, I know we are, and yet how do you find time? How do you make time to do this?
It's simple. It truly is simple. I also, besides quilting, which I do, I knit preemie caps. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there watching television, mm-hmm. and you can knit. So people who really aren't aware that there is a need for things, mm-hmm. things that you love. I knit, I quilt. Cancer is so heavy out there. Through joining my guild, I found Conquer pillowcases, mm-hmm. and making pillowcases for children to brighten their day. They're fighting cancer, and to give them a brightly colored pillowcase.
Oh yeah.
You can do that in your own home. You don't have to go out to volunteer. You can do what you love to do in your home and donate.
Donna, you look like
yes.
you were deep in thought.
No, I was deep in thought because I think if you really have a passion for something, you prioritize them. You know, this, I have to do this, and I have to go deeper into it. And we are multitaskers.
Oh, very
Women
much
are multitaskers, so we find ways. We find ways. But I was involved in social issues at my church, a justice ministry, because the drugs were going up for seniors, and I would hear people say they can only take 1 pill a day. 1 pill, instead of taking one a day, they would take 1 a week. So I did a lot of research, and I did that, like you said, like while I was watching TV, and because mm-hmm. we do have the internet and things like that, I had something to fight for. So when we'd go to Springfield, and I'd have reasons. We went to nursing homes to check them out, not at the times where the children go to see their parents, at different times, and we found many problems.
The terrible
so
loneliness.
If you really have a passion for it, and mm-hmm. we all have it right here.
And we're talking about time. I don't have a lot of time because I care for my mother, who is 93 with the moderate stage Alzheimer's. She's also deaf, and I communicate with her through sign language. But we started attending the barn earlier this year, and Mother will help me wash the trays once we're done eating, and there are volunteers who wash the trays and sanitize them. Excuse me. There's rolling up the utensils in napkins. And my mother.
We did not fire her. She is this 93-year-old beautiful woman moves so fast that we couldn't keep up with her.
But she enjoys going, right?
She loves going, and there are things there that we could, more hands doing a particular job, then the more enjoyment you get from socializing once the task is complete. Mm-hmm. So yes, even my mother will volunteer in the barn.
So she's volunteering. You don't need a particular talent. You don't have to have a really wonderful skill. You just have to be you and become part of something.
And care.
And care.
And care.
Like her mother, she's probably not aware that she's volunteering.
Probably not.
It's just something to do.
Yeah.
But just the social aspect, if you just visit seniors, and so, okay, and where do you find the time? Well, instead of watching the 2 hours of rerun programs, my parents watch 24/7 reruns. They have them memorized. Instead of watching that, get out. Go see somebody. Go see your neighbor.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Oh, yeah, there's many shut-ins that would be so
Yeah.
grateful to have somebody just talk to them for a half an hour. Believe me, people, we all know neighbors that need
Or
a little bit
if,
of time.
You know, bake some cookies and take them somewhere. Although with the nut food allergies and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
you have to know where you're taking them and who you're taking them to. But just the social aspect is a volunteerism in itself, and it doesn't require anything but yourself.
What brought you to volunteering?
I kind of grew up that way. I mean, you were talking earlier in the segment about, you know, the pilgrims and everything. When I was little, my mom belonged to a group, and they did mission bandages, what they called mission bandages, and they took old worn-out sheets and would cut them into 2-inch and 3-inch strips, and then sew those strips together, and then my mom would sit there while she's watching TV and roll those bandages. So I was probably 8 years old, and I'm helping her roll those bandages. And then I went on and was in 4-H, and so as an adult, I joined my own church group and started rolling bandages. And became a 4-H leader. And then, okay, you work your life, and then you retire. You work 40 hours a week. All of a sudden, what do you do with that 40 hours?
You need to fill it.
You know,
And boy, do we fill it.
We do.
Yeah, we
with
really feel it.
volunteering,
You
yeah.
know, but you start out with something that you know, or just get started. Just jump in and start to fill that 40-hour void.
The one thing that made me volunteer is I had been married to a very bitter alcoholic, and I was battered and abused. A lot of people don't know that. And as a result, I pay it forward. I do things for a church that creates items for Women in Need Grow Stronger and for pads. And have we ever had a day when it was so cold and bitter and people are on the street living and we're in comfortable, warm surroundings? I also belong to Silver Threads at St. Alexis Amita Hospital. Monica is our chairman there. And we do things for Katie's kids. We love those kids. We don't know them, but they've got cancer. And some of the women have cancer. And so many items are made for them. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to Change. We have been talking and talking and talking about volunteering. Some interesting facts about volunteering. In 2012, 64.5 million Americans contributed to billions of hours of volunteer service worth an estimated $175 million of service. It is proven that volunteers have a better chance of finding a job after being out of work when they've been volunteers. That is very true. And adults who began volunteering as youth are twice as likely to volunteer as those who did not volunteer when they were younger. After fundraising, the most popular volunteer activities are food service and distribution, general work related to transportation assistance, teaching and tutoring, and charities in need of comfort, such as hospitals and churches. Research demonstrates that volunteering leads to better health. Oh, it's very much proven by doctors. And the older volunteers are the most likely to receive physical and mental health benefits from their volunteering. If you are a volunteer and you're tired, you're busy, you're active, you go home, you feel so good, and you sleep very well. You're at peace in that.
But it's not just that. You know, if you're given, let's just say 4 hours a day, you can sit at home on those 4 hours. We all have aches and pains, and we all talk about them. And the more you talk about it, the worse you feel.
That's true.
So if you take those 4 hours and you're sitting at home and you're thinking, I ache, I hurt, oh, it hurts to get up, oh, it hurts to get down, oh, I ache, you know, you're going to feel bad. Mm-hmm. But if you leave the house and talk to somebody else and talk about something else, you're going to feel better. And I can vouch for that because when I used to have migraines when I was, you know, in my 20s and 30s, and a lingering migraine. So when it's not so intense that you have to go hide in the dark, but you know, you've got this headache. If you get busy and get your mind on something, you kind of forget about the headache.
You do, don't you?
Yes. Right.
You start out the day going, oh boy, does every joint in my body move? Does it not hurt? And you get busy. I often go to the barn, as many of you do, and a friendly smile, hey Fran, how you doing? Oh, Fran, do you think you could? Sure. And you forget all about yourself, your aches and pains. Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody needs a cup of tea, or a cup of coffee, or cookie, or a friendly word, but it works. And it not only works for them, it works for you.
It goes both ways.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
And you have to get up in the morning. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to stay in bed all day. I have to get up. I have to get dressed.
Yeah.
So you're also taking care of yourself. And
Absolutely.
that's part of
You know,
the mental and the physical
and that's true.
Improvements in yourself.
When my, I think it was my grandmother was in like a nursing home, and got the people up and got them dressed every day.
Oh yeah.
Because they found if they let them linger in their night clothes, they got more depressed.
Oh yeah.
So get up, fix yourself up, get out of that room, get out of that house, and do something.
Yeah. I often say I keep so busy that my age can't catch up to me.
That's good.
I like that.
And it works. It really does, because I so enjoy being around people and animals. They deserve kindness too. Any kindness you can do for another human being, any form of kindness, a kind word, a smile, glad to see you, checking up on you, maybe a phone call. Any type of volunteering is beautiful in itself.
Smile goes a long way.
Oh gosh, yes. I'm hoping to show some of your artwork. Is it possible?
I don't know that it's artwork, but
To me
Fran
it
did
is.
ask me to bring these. My Silver Threads group at St. Alexis, Amita, we make lots and lots of different things. Everybody does what is their own talent. And I sew. Our child life specialist who helps us determines what we need, what's good, what works for the kids. I think she designed this Katie gown, they call it. Her name is Katie. And it's a hospital gown. I mean, they provide the hospital gowns, but they're blah, you know, and they're all the same. So I make these hospital gowns. They have Velcro closures at the top of the arms so that the IV tubes can get in and out with the IV tubes instead of taking the entire garment off. And then I like to use bright colored fabrics with a contrasting sleeve. So it looks more like play clothes.
And no scrap is wasted by you.
I don't waste anything. Nothing goes unused. I use every scrap. It's ridiculous. If I say it's trash, you better believe it's trash. It's not usable. This is really cute because it was a border print. So it's got the Raggedy Ann and Andy down at the bottom. We just try to add some joy to the kids' life and the nurses, because you know they're treating these kids all day, every day, and the same hospital gowns, you know, the boring hospital gowns, and this is a little bit bright and cheery, and we make pillowcases for them and blankets and just lots and lots of different things to add a little joy
to their lives,
and
their
that's
day.
with the same thing with the Conquer pillowcases. I had
and also the blankets for the soldiers and military.
But the pillowcases for the children, I had the opportunity to go to a local hospital, and the children not only got to choose their fabrics, but then they were able, with assistance from the women that were there, sew their own pillowcases. And so if they had to go into surgery,
I think that's fantastic.
If they had to go into surgery, they could take their pillowcase. You know, it wasn't the same pillow that somebody else was using. It was theirs, and it gave them comfort that it's theirs.
Well, you can see volunteering has meant a lot all over the world. Sometimes you don't have money to give, and sometimes the money you give goes to somebody that it shouldn't go to, like the top of the line administrator, and it doesn't get to the person that's needed it. We would like to see you come back again and visit us on Change. We would also love to see you at the barn. Please call Marina at 847-524-7496 and make a reservation. But better yet, why don't you come in and look at the menu, and I'll say hello and maybe joke with you a little bit, and the other people. We have wonderful people that come to the barn. You'll love them all. And a few you want to take home, but they don't allow that. So thank you ladies so much, very much for letting us know what you do. And please come volunteer, no matter what it is, no matter how small, no matter how big. Your heart is what we're asking for. Warmth, caring, and kindness. See you next time. Day.